Hey, hey, hey! Welcome to Reliable Source. I'm Jonelle.
And I'm Kirsty, and we're both journalists at Europe's biggest newsroom, BBC News. And we also work on the BBC News TikTok account. And every week, we're here and we're telling you about the stories that we've been most obsessed with.
So why has TikTok muted a whole ton of videos?
It's nice to be accessible as well, especially like to your audience, to your fans. You want to be able to feel that they can do TikToks and have fun with your music. So it's a really tricky one, to be honest.
What's it like to lose a parent to domestic homicide? We speak to Liv, whose story went viral.
It's just crazy that there's probably a lot of other kids that aren't as strong or are still at a point where they've not developed the strength yet and they've got no one to talk to. Like, not everyone's the same.
And why has TikTok banned this toxic trend?
This is really unhealthy content to be looking at. You know, the comparison, the negativity, the perfectionism. You know, that's not good for anyone.
Let's go and find out.
This is Reliable Source. So I saw this TikTok, which has 4.4 million views now. I saw it a couple of weeks ago, posted by this girl called Liv. She was just sat in her car and she basically did this whole story time about how her dad had killed her mum.
And that's like really strange as well to me, because it was such like a horrific story. And when she posted it, like when I went on her page, because I've seen it as well, like it was just pictures of her like horse riding and out with her boyfriend. And it's just like, wow, this can happen to anyone.
Yeah, it was the first time she posted about it as well. Like, it's not what her page is about. And she basically said at the start of the video, like, I don't think anyone's even going to watch this. And she'd never spoken about it before. So she posted this clip and, yeah, like I said, it's got millions of views, loads and loads of comments as well.
So here's a story of how my dad killed my mum on my 3rd birthday. I just thought it's important to share because I know so many people that romanticise domestic abuse relationships and absolutely none of them people have been through it. This is the reality of a domestic abuse relationship and how it impacts people forever. I don't know what happened as a kid. I know now. I was only 3. But they had been fighting, whatever. My dad beat her up and strangled her to death.
I wanted to look at kind of how big this issue is, because I feel like this went viral because you don't hear about it much. So then I wondered, like, how common is it? So the official stats say that from March 2020 to March 2022 in England and Wales, there was 370 cases of domestic homicide, which is what it's called, which is basically where someone kills someone in their family or that they're related to or in their household. And in 67% of those cases, the victims were female. So like in Liv's case, it was her mum who was killed. And in the majority of those cases, it was a male partner or ex-partner who killed the woman. So Liv's case is the most typical of cases like that, where it's a man who's killed their partner. So here's a bit more of what Liv said about it affecting her.
It's currently Christmas Eve and I'm making this video and holding back tears, which is why I feel like I want to talk about it now, because this is the reality of it. This is what I think about every holiday, every birthday, every Mother's Day.
So Liv is in the studio with us now. Hi, Liv.
Hi.
Thanks for coming in. How did you feel about the reaction to the TikTok that you posted?
I was quite overwhelmed at first, so like I just like had a little scroll through, and then it didn't really like take off straight away, and then it suddenly like blew up, and then I was like, oh, and like I was just shocked so many people had like been through the same thing, and everyone felt like they could reach out and explain things to me.
Can we talk a bit more about the story itself? So like you were only 3 years old when your dad had killed your mum, and you lived in Canada at the time, didn't you?
Yeah.
And then what happened next? You moved to the UK, and what happened to you?
So I think my mum and dad had like not the best relationship anyway. So then obviously she had me, and they would argue like quite a lot if like drinks were involved, I guess, is what I've been told. Obviously I don't remember any of that bit. And it was my 3rd birthday party and they must have been drinking or something. And he, yeah, that's when he killed her, was then. The last thing like I remember is that we were all sat on the floor watching like a film. I'm pretty sure it was Finding Nemo or something like that. I don't know though. And like that was like a happy memory. Like that in my mind, that was happy. I remember we had like cushions behind us. Like it's just like a child's like memory. Obviously something's happened in that after that. And then I've told the police that, like, when I woke up, that I thought my mum had like a sandwich because she had like ketchup on her, but obviously she didn't have ketchup on her. And then, yeah, so he had beat her up and strangled her to death, so that's what happened with that.
What you said was really interesting about like your childhood memory, because like it is weird when you think about being that young. You can kind of remember some things really vividly and then other things not at all.
Yeah.
And like at what point did you kind of become aware of what actually happened? Like what age were you when you kind of thought like, oh, okay, this is what's happened?
I was in year 7. I was in an IT lesson, and I went on the computer and searched my mum's name. I don't really know why I did that. And then that's when I found out what had actually happened. Like, no one spoke to me about it. I was never told like what actually happened. Like, just didn't get spoke about. So I remember when I read that I was like in year 7. So I'd been about 12. I was like, oh my God, like, and I think I said this on the TikTok, like, to me that was almost worse. I don't know why. I think it's just because it was a whole realisation of like, actually, he really, really hurt her, actually, like, it was bad.
What did you remember of your mum?
The only memories I actually have are of my dad, and there's only like 2 or 3, and they're actually nice memories. That's the worst like part, is there's nothing of my mum, but I can remember nice things about my dad, because obviously I carried on seeing him after he didn't go straight to prison.
So your dad was convicted of 2nd-degree murder, so you had no parents at that, like, once he was convicted.
Yeah.
And it was about 2 years after your mum died.
Yeah, that he got convicted. Yeah.
Was there any sort of support that you had access to?
No. To be fair, when I was like young, when this first happened, I can remember I got took to counselling, and I remember there was like white play sand and stuff, and they try and get you to like talk and stuff, but I wouldn't talk at all. And I remember like I would scream and scream, because once I knew I was getting took to go and talk about things, I'd start screaming. So I think at some point my family was just like, okay, we're not going to take her anymore because she's not going. Would have been like 3, 4, 5, like around. It was like straight after my mum, because obviously they would have been trying to get me to talk it out, but I just never would, and still apply that now.
Are you trying to create content for people to kind of take a second look at their situation, or for friends and family to kind of, I'm not sure, intervene, or to try and do a little bit more when they see someone in a relationship that might have those flags?
Like the thing, as much as I'd love to sit here and be like, yeah, this video is going to help so many people, and like, yeah, it might help a few, but like the only person that can ever leave something is actually that person. Like, my family didn't want my mum to be with him, like, but it didn't matter what anyone said. I know there was a lot of people in the comments that was like, women, obviously, they were saying like, I've got kids, and like, I've just seen this, and I don't want my kids to grow up without me or without any parents. So like, yeah, I'm going to leave and stuff, and it's all well and good, but sometimes you genuinely can't get away, and that's not their fault, because it is hard. I'm not saying it's not hard. It is really, really hard. Or the man won't let them get away. I thought no matter where they, no matter where they, or they can't afford to leave them, or like anything. So like, as much as it would be amazing to sit there and be like, it reached 5 million people and it's going to help so many people. Do you know what I mean?
But I think also, like, even if people have commented and said they're going to leave, even if they don't leave then, you might have planted, like, a thought in their head of, like, you know, and it can, hopefully. I feel like, you know how you said it, like, it can be really hard to leave, but I think if things build up enough and you have enough time to think about it, then that's, I guess, eventually how you get there. So, I'm sure you started that thought in loads of people's
it'd be nice to think that, I'm just probably too honest, but like it would be nice to think that, and like consider. Do you know what, to be fair though, the amount of people that were commenting was actually more people that had been through it already, and they was like, oh my God, your situation's so like mine, or like your situation sounds like what happened to like my mum's friend, or like my cousin, or like someone, and it was like everyone knew someone.
That's really interesting that you said loads of people have messaged you with different stories, or like people they know, or their parents, or them themselves. I actually tried to find out how many people have experienced something like this or are victims of domestic homicide in some way. So I spoke to John Devaney, who's a professor at the University of Edinburgh, who he studies social work. So he's just done this big study into exactly that. So we can have a watch of the clip.
At present, we don't have very good figures on the number of children who are bereaved in this way. There's no one agency or authority that collects that sort of data. But we estimate that within the UK, it could be anywhere between 100 to 150 children per year.
And why is it that that's not recorded? Is that something that you think should happen more?
I think it's part of a general lack of awareness when we talk about domestic abuse, that this is something that isn't only between adults, but it also impacts on children in families. And so whilst there are lots of other family members and professionals who become involved in the life of children after they've had a parent killed in these ways, there's no one agency that's responsible for either providing services or having an overview of these children's needs. Because it's relatively rare, they don't pop up on anybody's radar on a regular basis. And yet, because there's such a small group, it should mean that there's something we're able to do. We can't undo what's happened to one of their parents, but we can make sure that they get better care going forward.
So he's basically saying like that some people like you and other people who have experienced something similar, like there's not one place you go to, there's not one group of people that helps you. Is that something you would agree with?
Yeah, there isn't anything. All the years like growing up, I just had to just keep it all in forever. Like, do you know what I mean? I never like people that actually know me as well in real life. Like, I don't talk about it. I don't like. I mean, my own boyfriend, I don't talk about it. I don't have family over here. I only really have my nan over here, and like we don't talk about it either. And if my nan's watching this, it's okay. I don't want to talk about it. It's fine. But like, it's just crazy that like there's probably a lot of other kids that aren't as strong or are still at a point where they've not developed the strength yet, and they've got no one to talk to. Like, not everyone's the same.
Yeah. So is there anything that you would kind of call on like the government? Like, what do you think should be in place to give that support?
I think if you had someone at your side through the whole thing, like designated to that one person, that would help. That you're not just getting given a random counsellor. You're not just getting given a random social worker. You're getting someone that's going to walk through it all with you and knows your story already. You don't have to sit there and explain it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So we spoke to the government because we knew we were covering this story, and they said that they've just announced new measures to protect women and girls, and they also said that they fund this organisation which basically deals with people who are victims of anything to do with a domestic violence, murder or killing. So that's what they say. But what would your message be to someone, say they're like a few years behind you in this process and they're still really struggling, and they look at you and think, oh, I want to turn out like this, kind of positive and successful? What would you say to them?
You've already been through the worst thing, but you've just got to back yourself and just get on with it. Really. I know it's bad, but you do.
No,
you don't have a
it's
choice.
not bad at all. It's so impressive. The other thing for anyone else listening is, if you are affected by this or you have been affected by it, BBC Action Line is a place to get some help and advice. There's loads of organisations on there which have related topics. So thanks very much, Liv, for coming in and telling us everything. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Some of my TikToks where I've been just having a little boogie, dancing around, the sound is removed. The sound is gone. I've had to replace the sound, and now my lip syncs are all out of time. It's just different lyrics.
Them?
Yeah, well, it says you can replace the sound if you want to boost your post or whatever. Oh. And now it's just not matching. It's not really giving.
Yeah, Universal Music Group have removed their music catalogue off TikTok.
Yeah, so loads of sounds are missing from TikTok. Loads of your favourite songs, Ariana, Billie Eilish, like Drake, basically all the massive artists that would have their songs on TikTok, their songs are gone because Universal, which, by the way, I read the other day, owns a third of the music in the world. The whole world.
Yeah, I'm not even shocked by that.
And they've pulled it all off TikTok because they're not happy with TikTok. So they have basically said that TikTok don't pay enough to have access to like so much music. And TikTok said, that's not true. That's a false narrative. Like, you guys are just being greedy, basically. So they can't agree. There's beef. Yeah, and it means that we can't dance to Ariana. I can't shake my booty.
It might be a good thing because then independent artists can use TikTok to grow. We've seen a lot of artists growing on there because we've had Ray has grown a lot on there. Big up Ray, big up Escapism Winter, which we're leaving soon, but love Escapism Winter. You know, we've got loads of people. Katie Beza.
But a lot of these artists are actually now signed to Universal. So it's almost like they've come up to that point and then now the music's been wiped. So it could be good for some people, but it could be bad
but
for other people.
It could be good for the new generation.
Yeah.
The new generation can, get prominence using TikTok.
Well, luckily, we've been invited to the MOBOs.
Reliable source ex
Reliable
MOBOs.
source at the MOBOs.
Yeah, here's what some of the artists had to say.
Hey, it's Reliable Source at the MOBOs.
We're going to be chatting to all the fun, fabulous people who've been nominated, people performing, and people that are here just for a good laugh.
And we also want to ask them about the beef between Universal and TikTok.
Hi, we're Nova Twins.
And you're listening to the Reliable Source.
It's hard for the artists because we obviously, especially the money does filter down the lower you get. So, but it's nice to be accessible as well, especially to your audience, to your fans. You want to be able to feel that they can do TikToks and have fun with your music. So it's a really tricky one, to be honest.
Do you feel like you found a lot of your fan base online and on apps like that?
No. We've done it brick by brick, gigging.
Shows at festivals,
all the shows.
Yo, winner guidance. And shout out Reliable Source Podcast.
Saucy.
As people who have music published through Universal, it's interesting, but at the same time, it's not the end of the world, to be honest.
We never really had an issue because a lot of our stuff is a cappella.
It's a great opportunity for independent artists.
There's other platforms as well. We can also push our music and things like that.
I feel like people are starting to forget music existed before TikTok and promotion existed before TikTok. There's multiple other ways to get out there.
Life goes on.
My name is Manga St. Hilaire, the 4th best grime artist in the whole world, and probably the 3rd best looking one. So, I don't care because they're not doing it for us. We're not getting the P. So I know they're trying to say, they're not getting paid fairly. What they mean is they're not getting paid fairly. Artists should get paid the most because we're the ones that do all the stuff.
Right now, your boy Rimsey, Reliable Source. You already know what time it is. You know what? Obviously, for artists, it's bad because it was giving a lot of people a big reach, innit?
Yeah.
But obviously, on the business side, for Universal, it's business, innit? They won't get in what they feel like they deserve, so they have to take it off, innit?
Is any of your music getting moved off?
Yeah, some of them. I've been through a lot of things in life, innit? This is not really that deep, I'll be honest with you.
I think streaming don't pay enough, but that's another question, isn't it?
We're done. We got the tea, we got the goss from all your faves.
We're currently behind the scenes where all of the press people are. Hopefully you guys found out what everyone thinks about that ban.
What else is on the news though?
If you're looking for your next podcast obsession, we think you might like Murder They Wrote with Laura Whitmore and Ian Sterling.
You can hear some of the wildest, jaw-dropping crime stories on BBC Sounds. Anyways, where were we?
Discourse about women's bodies and body image is everywhere. Obviously, I'm coming to you with a trend, and it's called LeggingLegs. And it's basically the idea that you need to have a specific body type to wear leggings, and people were making loads of videos wearing leggings, talking about whether or not they have the right body for it. So I asked people on Instagram if they wear leggings, and if they don't, why they don't, because I kind of wanted to see, is it conscious or subconscious why people wear leggings, or is legs not really a thing? So here's what some people had to say.
You rarely see women outside just wearing leggings if they're not already fully decked in sports clothes or going for a run. And I feel like that is because the minute you step out in leggings, there is a pressure because you at least feel like people are looking at you, or guys are looking at the shape of your legs, the shape of your ass, because you can kind of see that all when you're wearing leggings, and it's unexpected.
I wear leggings to the gym, but I would never wear them anywhere else because I have taste.
Leggings are genuinely the best thing since sliced bread. The comfort is just A1. Nothing can compare to it. Nobody wants to wear jeans all day.
I don't tend to wear leggings because I still remember the days when they were kind of see-through, and there was a lot of talk around, it being too revealing even though it's covering you. So I just don't tend to wear it because I still remember that time. But also it's just sort of slightly out of fashion now. It's just not something that's in my wardrobe.
But online, there's actually been a lot of backlash against this hashtag LeggingLegs. People think it's toxic and that it encourages eating disorders and body dysmorphia. And as a result of all this backlash and this conversation online, TikTok have removed the hashtag LeggingLegs and anything associated with that hashtag. And now when you type in LeggingLegs, it takes you to Beat, which is a charity for eating disorders and body dysmorphia.
So this hashtag was for people to share like, oh, I think I've got legging legs, or I haven't got legging legs, meaning like they're skinny enough for leggings, or they're not skinny enough for leggings, or they've got the right shape leg for leggings.
Yeah.
So TikTok completely got rid of it.
Yeah, they've completely got rid of it. So to find out what type of impacts these trends could have, I spoke to Kitty Wallace, who actually suffered from body dysmorphic disorder. She currently works at the Body Dysmorphic Disorder Foundation. Here's what she had to say.
Trends like this seem quite flippant, but of course they can be really serious depending on who is consuming these sort of trends. So if someone is particularly sensitive about their appearance, particularly insecure, these sort of trends are going to fuel that. And that can really exacerbate conditions like body dysmorphic disorder or an eating disorder or disordered eating. So yeah, I definitely think they are dangerous, and I'm pleased that this one has been stopped. Can I say that this trend will cause a death? I can't make that exact comparison. Will it be really unhelpful to someone who's already struggling? Yes.
And what's your take on TikTok removing this hashtag and removing the mention of legging legs?
Yeah, I think it's fantastic. If more social media platforms took responsibility in protecting vulnerable people. This is really unhealthy content to be looking at. The comparison, the negativity, the perfectionism, that's not good for anyone, but particularly young people who can easily sort of have their confidence knocked by content like this.
Yeah, that's really interesting what Kitty said about the impact on people who are struggling, because if you might see the trend and just think, okay, I can just swipe past that and ignore it, but if someone's already struggling with things like that, it can just make it so much worse. Yeah, I guess it's quite good that TikTok got on it quite quickly.
I spoke to TikTok about it and asked them why did they block legging legs, and they said that it goes against their community guidelines, talking about and encouraging eating disorders and other self-harm is just completely no for them. And also spoke to YouTube, who said that they take the health and well-being of their creators and viewers really seriously, and in the next couple of months are going to be rolling out some new measures to maintain that safety. Thanks for listening to Reliable Source. We'll be back next week.
Tap subscribe or follow wherever you're listening or watching so you get it as soon as it drops.
The podcast is available on BBC Sounds YouTube, Spotify and Apple.
And until next time, always get your news
from a reliable source. Bye.